Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time, and that whenever and wherever you happen to be on God's green earth, that you are able to figure out and discover what your personal spiritual goals are for yourself. Now, I have heard that there are 1,000 roads to God. There's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of paths to the divine. But every path, every journey begins with a single step, as they say. And it depends on where you're at on that journey. So, for example, I've been spiritual my whole life, but on a specific path since, I would say, 1987 is when my spiritual awakenings started to occur. And in the beginning, I just wanted to learn everything I could about everything. Auras and chakras and trying to see my prana aura around my body and learning how to meditate. There was so many things that I was trying to learn back then. And now I'm farther ahead on the journey and I have goals that are a little bit bigger than that. But when you're brand new on the path, you just want to know what there is to know. What can you study? Why do people want to deal with crystals? What's a crystal? What are these different rocks and minerals for? You know, I mean, I remember in 1987 when my mom sent me my very first crystal. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to meditate with this. I didn't even know what it meant, really. I just felt like, well, I just feel more spiritual holding a rock in my hand. It's kind of weird. But hey, that's, you know, when you start off, that's like enough of a discovery, right? And so my goal, I think back then, was just to gather the knowledge. And then eventually in time, I started to attend mystery schools, and then I gathered new knowledge in a different way. And then I started to learn how to meditate, and I learned many different kinds of meditation. And then I started doing Ascension yoga. Well, at first it was Raja yoga, and now I guess you would have to say it's Ascension yoga. But when you had a spiritual awakening, say a week ago or 2 months ago or even half a year ago, your goals are going to be a lot different than someone who's been at it for 30 or 40 years. You know, when you get to be on the journey 30 or 40 years from now, then your goals have shifted and changed, right? Because you already know how to look at auras, or at least you know how to decipher the energy you're feeling. You already know about all of the basic stuff. And you get to a point where you just want to know more about how do you achieve complete and total spiritual mastery. Maybe somewhere in the middle, you want to learn how to telepath. You want to work on your third eye so you could be clairvoyant. You could see the future. You want to work on your discernment and be able to suss out the energy of a place before you walk in the building. You want to be able to tell if someone's lying to you based on the energy shift in the room when they do something or say something. You want to be able to trust those instincts and trust your personal assessment of the energy. There's a lot of different spiritual goals that people have. It's not just, my goal is to be spiritual, because that's not enough. That's like saying, my goal is to be a millionaire. How are you going to get there? What's going to be your path? Why do you even want the money? You have to know all of the reasons. You can't just say, I want a lot of money. Everyone wants a lot of money, but why? Well, because I want to retire. I want to buy a house. I want to provide for my children and my grandchildren. I want to create a living legacy for my family. That would be more of a goal than I just want money in general. So the same thing with spirituality. There's a bunch of different reasons that people are spiritual. Sometimes it's because everyone else is doing it. Why not me? My family's spiritual. I want to be part of the family, or, what have you. But sometimes you get past that and you go, well, this is kind of, it's not sometimes, it's actually all the time. You get past that and you go, well, this is a spiritual journey. And it's individual. And, last year I wanted to learn about chakras and auras and all those things. And now this year I want to learn tarot. That's my spiritual goal. I want to learn about the real tarot and what this is. Or I want to build the temple not built with hands. I want to build my personality in a way that is in alignment with the one will. Maybe your goal is to study Kabbalah. Maybe your goal, if you're a man, is to join the Masons and learn the 32 paths to wisdom from a Freemason point of view. Maybe your goal is to become a vegan and live in a cave and meditate all day long. Okay, no one has a goal, right? It's always that secret desire. Oh, I wish I could just live in a cave. But when you come right down to it, no one really wants to live in a cave with the millipedes. Ew. And the bats. Ooh, no one wants to live among centipedes, millipedes, and bat guano. But that's always that secret thing. People go, ooh, I wish I could live in a cave. If you've ever been in a cave, you would know in about 2 seconds. Yeah, I don't think I ever want to live in a cave. That's too damn scary. It hasn't been an appealing idea to me since I've actually been out spelunking in Oregon. I went into a cave on a very hot day with my kids, and we went so far down. It was a cave that went down into the ground, and there was a staircase, and we went so far down that it was actually freezing. It was like permafrost. It was very, very cold. And it was crazy. It was like, how are we so cold? Our teeth were chattering, we were shivering, and touching the railing, our hands stuck to the railing because our hands were sweaty from being up in the surface where it was hot. And then we got to the bottom and it was like, whoa, ooh, my hands stuck to the railing. It's so cold. And I know for a fact I don't want to live in a cave, let alone meditate in a cave. Maybe more than 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, it was fun though. We got to see galactites, that's not right. Stalagmites and stalactites, not galactites. Galactites is what you have when you're in a cave in outer space. I'm just kidding. See, I think my cat mesmerized me. She looked at me and, oh, by the way, we discovered, here's the updated familiar report, that he is not a he, she is a she. So, I don't know, the woman who, and I said last week that I bought the cat. I didn't buy the cat. She was a free kitten given to us as a gift, I suppose. So I did not purchase this little fur baby of mine. She just came to live with me. And anyway, another part of the familiar report I wanted to update you guys is as we were cuddling last night, I felt her holy guardian angel with me. Now, what happens with most cats, they have not a guardian angel, but a guardian fairy. And this little kitten has a fairy and a holy guardian angel. So that means that she's really she's Lyran, from the Vega, one of the planets of the Vega star system. She is a Lyran, and her angel presented to me as a Lyran angel. And if you've been with me for a while with the show, you're going to understand. Last year I channeled the Lyrans quite a bit, and the Lyrans, even this year, a few times, not often and not very much in the past 6 months, but the Lyran people have cat heads. They're humanoid with cat heads, and that is what my kitty cat's guardian angel looks like. So I realize that this is a humanoid origined spirit in a little cat body, and Lyrans tend to hide in little black cat bodies because they had a very hard time when their world was destroyed by the Dracos, and so they don't like to talk about it because it's a very painful and sad memory. But they do, if you ever have a Lyran cat, they will have a holy guardian angel that's a Lyran humanoid with angel wings, and also they will have a guardian fairy, because all animals have a fairy, like a holy guardian angel for animals. It is a fairy from the fairy kingdom. So I had fairies in my room yesterday, and I had a fairy guardian as well as an angel guardian with my little Lyran kitty when we were cuddling last night, and I felt the presence of them. So that's my little familiar report. So I wanted to bring that up because I thought it was interesting, and she's here with me right now hanging out. She's hugging the Angel Answers cards. She loves just being near the energy of the oracle cards that I use for the show. So I thought I'd bring that up. But so yeah, this occurred to me, this idea of the spiritual goals, because for me, my goal is to 100% tap into my God divine energy and know who I am on every level. Intellectually, everybody knows it. Once you get on the spiritual path a while, you realize I am God, you are God, we all are God, having a human experience. But then it's an intellectual sort of knowledge, and it's not maybe it's a spiritual sort of knowledge, but you have to realize it on all the different levels, on the Pepsi levels, I call it. So you have to know on a physical level, emotional, psychological, spiritual level of the individual, your Pepsi levels. So I feel like I kind of have been remiss in not telling you guys that you need to come up with your personal spiritual goals. And it's okay if they shift and change over time, because naturally they will. When you're, starting off in kindergarten, your first initial educational goal, for example, would be to finish kindergarten, and then maybe your next educational goal would be to finish grade school, and then high school, or junior high, and then high school, and then maybe go to a trade school or college or university, or maybe get certificate training or whatever. But everybody has different educational goals, right? And it's the same thing with spiritual education. You have to just know where you're at and accept it. You don't have to say you're on a path to be a spiritual master, because that's huge. That's like saying I'm going to eat that elephant for dinner. Well, you can't eat the whole elephant in one sitting. They say you eat an elephant one bite at a time, if you're going to eat an elephant at all. And I'm not recommending anyone go off and find an elephant burger. I don't think that That's not really what I'm trying to say. But the point is, you might have a very tiny goal of, I want to buy my first crystal. And in a month or two, after you have your first crystal, or 3, because it gets addictive, you're going to end up with, a lot. You're going to get to a point where you're like, well, maybe I want to meditate with my crystals. So you have to learn how to meditate, and you have to learn how you're going to hold your crystals. You have to learn how to take care of them and clean them energetically. And then you're going to have to get to a point where you have goals for your crystals. Maybe you're going to make organite with them, or maybe your next spiritual goal is to grid your house, put a crystal in every corner. Or maybe you're going to learn how to make crystal grids on a tabletop. Totally different kind of crystal grid. So every spiritual goal that you have and achieve, you can even keep a spiritual goal journal or notebook if you want. I don't, but you can if you want. I would have if I had thought about it before 5 seconds ago. We have we're all on the same path, but we also have different goals. Like maybe you're just wanting to ascend into the 5th dimension. You're physically there, but you're not mentally or emotionally there yet. So you're trying to raise your vibration. Maybe that's your only spiritual goal, is to raise your vibration so that you are 100% on all of your Pepsi levels living in the 5th dimension. And when I say emotionally not there yet, maybe you're physically there. We're all physically there. But maybe you're not emotionally there because people are still able to say things that spark an extreme reaction in you. And that's okay. You can still be in the 5th dimension and be angry, or be upset or annoyed or, bored. It's not going to be all lofty rainbows and unicorns and fluffy ethereal bunny rabbits. It's going to be still hard spiritual work, because that's the nature of the beast that we are a part of right now. So maybe, you might be emotionally down in the dumps, even though you're physically in the 5th dimension. So you have to learn to raise your vibration so that you can reach the higher emotional states. Can you still get depressed? Sure. But if you can pull yourself out of it faster, that's being emotionally in the 5th dimension. So spiritually, you're working on yourself. We're all working on ourselves all the time. Just being here, being a spiritual being, being a soul, currently inhabiting a human body. We're all on a spiritual journey, whether we're aware of it or not. All the people that are unaware and unawakened are still on a spiritual journey, even if they don't know it yet. I think only the real, truly evil ones, there's not a lot, but the really, truly evil people really are not on a spiritual path. They're just here to help us on our own spiritual path. So when you encounter somebody really evil, do you hate them? Do you feel sorry for them? Do you realize they're there for your benefit so that you can learn not to react to them? Do you send them love and light? Wish them well? But know in your heart you'll never invite them for dinner, so it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, people who are evil are here for our spiritual benefit. They don't even know that, but they are. Everything in the world is here for your spiritual benefit. So I just want you guys to keep in mind, think about your spiritual goals. It's okay if they're little. If they're little, like I want to learn everything there is to know about the crystals, and then I'm going to pick one. Or I'm going to learn how to follow my hunches. You want to maybe work on your intuition, honing your gut instinct. In the beginning, one of my biggest spiritual goals for a while was Psychic Self-Defense. In fact, there is an incredible book called Psychic Self-Defense. It's been around since the 80s. And it's highly, highly recommended that you learn how to protect your energy. Now, I was first mentioning energetic darts and stuff. I think about a week or two ago is when I first started mentioning this. But I've felt personal attacks from random strangers probably 3 or 4 times in this year. No, it's not very often, but I mean, I'm a public figure, so sometimes it's happened. One of my listeners last year actually said some really mean and hurtful things. He started off being really sweet and drew me into the conversation, and then turned around and kind of slapped me down, emotionally, and trying to personally attack me. And some of the things he said was really hurtful, and I'm not going to repeat it because it's not really worthy of my time. But the point is, sometimes you're going to have these emotional attacks or spiritual attacks, or sometimes just psychological attacks. This person was questioning my sanity and acted like I'm always drunk or something, and I'm like, no, not at all. I think it was a high a few times last year. Doing the show, I had an edible that I was high for a whole week, and I did my show high for a week. It was a damn good edible. I just didn't know how much THC had been in it, so oopsies. But no, I'm sober when I do the show. I think I've had maybe 2 drinks and did the show probably ever. So no, it's not the case. Never has been the case. I don't drink a lot. I live in very high elevation, and having asthma and living at 8,400 feet above sea level. And to give you a idea, Denver is only 1 mile, like 5,260 feet above sea level, and I'm at 8,400 so I'm like a mile and a half off the sea floor, or I guess not the sea floor, but the sea surface. I think it doesn't start at the sea floor; it starts at the surface of the ocean when they say above sea level. But I really I have a hard time with it, with the oxygen levels in my blood. And so with asthma plus that, when you drink, that just shoves more oxygen out of your bloodstream. So I don't do any of that. But I have had a few different attacks, and I've noticed that the energy is different for whoever is trying to do the attack. Sometimes it's just a blunt attack, like a pushback energy, because maybe you've said something that triggered them in a way that they can't handle what you said, so they'll push back just because they're not ready yet to believe it. Or sometimes people have attacked me for random things that they know nothing about. Like last week, I did mention on Friday that somebody had sent like darts, like energetic darts my way. And I felt it sticking kind of in my stomach, like solar plexus, a little, maybe like 2nd and 3rd chakra, and like around my heart chakra. And I felt it before I even knew what was happening, right? This person had literally sent negative energy my way, like this absolute abject hatred energy. And I didn't know anything about what was happening, really. I just felt kind of an uneasiness. And I had gotten a notification, and I went on my Instagram, and this person had said some pretty nasty things to me on there. And normally if someone says something nasty, I don't feel it in my body. So this person went out of her way to shove negative energy my way. And I just felt like this reaction immediately, and it pulled me back down to the 3D emotional state, and I was like, what? And I got really mad because this person accused me of culturally misappropriating the word shaman because I'm white. And I'm like, this person knows literally nothing about me. First of all, the word shaman comes from the Asian cultures, and I'm Cherokee in my blood. I have ties to the Asian world. AB, blood, and B, part of that blood, originated in Asia. Remember the land bridge theory, And so the word shaman is a word that is used by all cultures around the world now. It originated in Asia, but you could be a South American shaman, a North American shaman. You could be a European shaman. You could be a shaman living in Australia, because it's not a word that is specific to any one culture anymore. It started in Asia as an origin word, but there are shamans all over the world. And that was the first thing. And the second thing, I'm white in appearance, but test my DNA. I dare you. You'll find out really quickly. I'm of mixed blood. I am Cherokee. My grandfather grew up on the res, and my great grandma was a full-blooded Cherokee, Native. So, it's been in my blood ever since, I was born in this body, and I am a shaman. The minute you get struck by lightning, I don't care who the hell you are, that makes you a lightning shaman. The lightning gods have spoken, And I was struck by lightning in 2007 on April 2nd. So, it is what it is. And I've been a Heyoka shaman my whole life. And if you don't know what a Heyoka shaman is, you could go back and look up the episode I did last year on Heyoka shaman. Just do a Google search, Metaphysical Soul Speak Heyoka, and you will find that episode. And if you still can't find it, I'll tell you what date it was. You have to just write me, and I'll do a quick search for it. So for anything, by the way, any of the shows I've ever done, I could do a quick search in my archives and find it, and then you can look it up by date. And I didn't number all the episodes last year. It's something I've only been doing this year. Friday was my 202nd show for my second season. So I'm thinking next year I'm going to break up the year and do maybe 2 seasons next year. So season 3 and 4 will be in 2021. Because I think my seasons are too long. I might even break it up into 3 or 4 seasons and take a week off in between. And I'll give you guys some time to catch up, especially if you're new, because I have a lot of episodes. I did 364 episodes my first year, and I've already done 202. This is my 203rd episode for this year. So, what does that make? 567 episodes. So, you have a lot to catch up on if you're brand new. But there's a lot to be learned in all of my episodes. And some of the stuff, most of the stuff I talk about is original and unique, but a lot of the things that I talk about, especially with my Grandma Marion episodes, it's information that is valuable and unique, and it's 100%, you'll never find it anywhere else. Nobody else will teach you how to make a teddy bear alive. I have never seen that anywhere. That was something that Grandma Marion taught me. She was pretty close to becoming a spiritual master before she died. She was right on the brink, I have a feeling. And I saw some crazy miracles in her life. Just being in her house for a few days at a time, I witnessed some things that I can only describe as miraculous. And so you might want to go back, if you're new, go back and look up the Reverend Marion Jones or the Grandma Marion episodes. I did them every Saturday for like 2 months. So last year, I want to say February and March possibly. But just look up Marion, look up the teddy bears, Are Teddy Bears Alive? I think a lot of people skipped that one because they just thought it sounded weird, but trust me, you're going to want to know how to make your teddy bears alive. If you give a living teddy bear to somebody who's sick, that's going to bring them a lot of love and joy. And I mean, they might feel like they're going out of their damn mind until you tell them, yes, the teddy bear is alive. But also there was tips on how to put energy and love into a teddy bear that if you send to somebody and they hug it, they will feel your love. And the technique of how to do that, it's back in that episode in case you haven't heard it yet. I just want to bring it up because some of you need to hear it. That's why I'm bringing it up again. Anyway, so yeah, just as far as the spiritual goals are concerned, you don't have to have an awakening last week and next week expect that any day now you're going to be a spiritual master. You know, it doesn't work like that. You have to kind of go in order, but literally follow your spirit. Your spirit will tell you where you want to go and what you need to do. You know, in order to be spiritual, you don't have to suddenly follow a Native American tradition if you're not even Native American. You don't have to suddenly call the sun grandfather's son the way that I do. I do because that was something I resonated with since the beginning. You know, I've been telepathing with animals since the beginning. And with my grandfather, the chief, he's been here with me for decades, you know. One of my first past life memories, I remembered being Lakota Sioux, and I remembered the whole thing. I remembered walking across the plains once a year to get away from the winter, and you know, I remembered sewing my husband's wedding moccasins, and just various memories. And I came to after having this really deep meditation in a yoga retreat workshop. And I woke up or came up out of it, and I was surrounded by white people, and it terrified me because I didn't remember where I was, and I couldn't speak English anymore. I was like speaking straight Lakota Sioux, like that language. I was not speaking in English. It took me a minute to get back to English. And my husband's looking at me like, what? And I was like bawling uncontrollably. I couldn't stop crying because he had died. He was my husband, and he had died, and I had to send his wedding moccasins down the river. And, you know, because that was the chief told me to do this. The chief told me, hey, you need to let this man go. So for your own sanity and happiness, you know, and I'm like, I'm never going to be happy again. It broke my heart. But he was the same person, and this is when I first met him in this life, and we spent 13 years together and had our children together. So we finally made all the goals, all the things came true, which was pretty cool. But you know, so your first goal might not be to remember your past lives. Your first goal might not be going to a yoga retreat workshop, and maybe that will never be your goal, and that's okay. So no matter what your spiritual goals are, you know, maybe it's writing spiritual poetry. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's your only goal spiritually you're going to do. That's okay. You know, maybe it's to learn absolutely everything, or maybe you just want to be on a meditation path. You just want to be a master meditator. You know, and there's nothing wrong with any of this. However you want to be. Maybe your spiritual path is you've recently discovered you're a hereditary witch, and you want to be a kitchen witch and learn how to put magic into the food that you make to help everybody heal on every level that they can. Or maybe you are a witch of the hearth and you want to do fire magic. Maybe you are a herbal witch or an energetic witch. I work with the weather. And I've only recently discovered, in my whole life, I've been affected by the weather. And only recently, in the past couple years, have I discovered, oh crap, it skipped several generations, but my kids and I, we are hereditary witches. And I started realizing what kind of magics we have. You know, the fact that I can open up the heavens and stop the rain for a couple minutes so I could walk under the sunshine, or that I could do this for other people who are sick and they want to walk under the sunshine. You know, if I'm here in the same area and I'm under the same weather system as somebody, I can stop the rain temporarily. with God's help, of course, but that's part of my magic because I'm a shaman. That's just part of what shamans do. But not every shaman does the same thing. I don't do ayahuasca ceremonies, even though I live in South America. That's not the kind of shaman I am. I'm an energy and weather shaman. I'm a Heyoka shaman. I will help you heal by pushing your buttons so you get upset or annoyed at me. I'm sorry about that if it happens. I don't really want to do it, but it's just who I am. It's part of my makeup. I'll make fun of something and joke about something and you get really mad at me. And a few weeks later, you might hate me and never want to talk to me again, but then you might go, oh, wow, that actually helped me because now I'm better. If something sticks in your craw, as they say, and it's going to stick there until you take care of it. That's what Heyokas do. It's part of what I do. So this person last week, and I described on Friday what happened. So when you imagine you have your prana aura, which is about an inch from your body, it's blue, kind of a bluish white, and you just imagine it doubles in size. So you can push out almost like you're pulling a splinter out. You just kind of push out with your energy, your prana energy. You just take a few deep breaths and you push that energy out. So you're removing the sword or the dagger or the whatever energetic crap people send you, needle, whatever. You can imagine in a bunch of different ways, just however it feels. And like I said, you just unroll it like from your feet up, almost like you're unrolling a condom off your body. And I like this visualization because then you flip it inside out and put on top of their head, put all the way down to their feet, tied in a knot. You can blow them over, just blow them over. Imagine them rolling around in a condom of their own making with all the darts and the swords and the knives and the crap that they sent you energetically. They won't leave you. They won't bother you ever again. Like this person who had sent all this negative energy my way. And I did that exercise that God had shown me. It was hilarious. And the hilarity of it helps take the sting out of having been personally attacked out of nowhere from someone you don't even know. Yeah, I did that. Tied that thing up. Imagine it was like a condom balloon, just went, blew it over, and I saw her rolling around in her own debris that she caused. And went back to the comment to say, you care to talk to my Cherokee ancestors about how I'm culturally misappropriating? It's like, my own culture. Sorry, you don't know me, buddy. But before I could even say anything, she had already deleted her own comment, her own negativity, because I had sent that energy back, and she felt it and she knew it. And I knew she knew it. Now, I've had to do that a few times, like 3 or 4 times. When you're a public figure and you mention that you're a public figure on Instagram, some people get kind of irritated by that. That pushes their buttons because they want to be a public figure. It's just a matter of changing your account. It takes 50 seconds. Tops. Doesn't take very long, to become a public figure. It's kind of dumb, but people get jealous at the weirdest shit, and their jealousy, then they can use that to hate on you, and then that sends darts your way, even if they're not even consciously aware of the darts they're sending you. So you got to be able to protect yourself. So Psychic Self-Defense, go check that book out. It is very old. You could probably go to that free books app and download it on a PDF format. It's a very, very good book. I promise you could go to almost any bookstore and probably find it. It's been in print for decades. And it's like the Psychic Self-Defense Workbook. And I can't remember the author's names, but it's one of those books I do occasionally will mention the best apps and the best books and the best YouTube channels and all the other spiritual resources. So that's what I'm recommending today is the Psychic Self-Defense Workbook. It's pretty cool. And I've kept, in the beginning, I felt like not very strong energetically. I'm very strong now, but when I was, 18 and 19, I wasn't. So I kept like an arsenal of darts. I like created a pouch at my side, and I created a bunch of darts, and they were all pure white light of the Creator. And so when someone would send something my way, I'd just grab one out of my pouch and send it their way, so that they would have to deal with the high vibrational energy I just sent them, and it would raise their vibration in a way that they won't put their low level crap on me anymore. I only had to do it a couple times, but I have this like white pouch filled with white darts, and it's high vibrational energy that the low vibrational people, if I put that up, and if I put the dart in their aura, and it was and in my mind, it was not a negative dart. It was like a positive, it's going to like put a little chink in their, like a little tiny, I don't know what the chink isn't the right word. Chink to me is like a chain link, just a little tiny bit, a little piece of white vibration that's going to go throughout their aura, and it's going to eventually change them by raising their vibration, or they will reject it and be afraid of me and go away because they don't like the high vibration versus their low vibration. And that was like when I first started off, I felt like I had to do that. I don't feel like I have to do that anymore. Now I'll just take the energy the person gives me, rolled up like a condom, like I said, put it over their head, tie it at their feet, and imagine they're rolling around on the ground like they can't get up until they own up to what they did and ask for forgiveness, not of me, but of God. Sorry, I attacked one of the beings you created. It's not up to me to do that, right? I'm just sending their own energy back to them. But I'm going to do a psychic self-defense hypnosis download for you guys, because Michelle, and thank you, Michelle, for the donation, by the way. And Michelle gave me a bunch of ideas. And if you guys have any ideas of hypnosis and downloads that you want to hear, and I wanted you to know that even though other hypnotists have done a lot of hypnosis downloads over the years, Steve G. Jones, I highly recommend him. He's great. He has got hundreds of them. I've downloaded probably 20 or 25 of his, like 4 years ago. He had this massive sale where his like $20 and $30 hypnosis, they were like down to $1 or something, but it was like only like 1 week or 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get a bunch of them. And I did. And I mean, he's awesome. But when I start doing mine and I start actually putting them out there, I wanted you guys to know I have light codes in my voice. I have claimed my higher vibrational energy, like, I don't know how to explain this other than I know I was an archangel is my first thing I ever was. I fell to earth, became a human. Now I'm a human like you guys, but I claimed my archangel energy recently. So I have I have the light codes in my voice that can create upgrades or downloads or light codes, whatever you want to call it, for yourself. It's in my voice, and when I do the hypnosis, I'm going to put that energy there. The archangel energy, it's a higher vibrational energy. And also I do Reiki, so I'm going to also call upon the Reiki energy to go your way. And I will do other things like also call upon the archangels, all the angels, to also surround you when you're doing the hypnosis so that you're safe and protected. And also I will connect you to the healing grid that's in the 5th dimension that I helped, along with thousands of other light workers. We all helped together. We built this together. Lisa Transcendence Brown is one of the people who helped build this with me. But we created it so that anytime anyone prays for healing, boom, it's right there. It's immediately there beneath your feet. And I'm going to put that in my hypnosis things too. So no matter what it is, whether it's self-esteem or confidence or psychic self-defense or protecting your aura and your energy, especially for empaths, that's going to be one of the first ones I do is for empaths. And all of these things are going to have all of the light codes and the upgrades and everything for you automatically built in, so that no matter what the topic is, you're still going to get the benefits of all the other things. And that's something that other hypnotherapists don't have. So I just want to mention that. It's something that over the weekend came to my mind, and I'm like, oh yeah, all right, there it is. So, let's see. Something happened over the weekend. Ascension symptoms. Lots of bloating, having extra water weight. A lot of energy came through the weekend. A lot of weird time anomalies where it feels like 10 or 20 minutes have passed. Next thing you know, 2 hours are gone, and it just felt like a few minutes. You feel like by the time you finish having one conversation with someone, 2 or 3 hours have passed. Passage of time was very strange this weekend. Today especially went very rapid. I had a lot of problems with acid reflux. And 2 days ago, and also last night, that happened. And I've been having to take a lot of vinegar in water. If you do red wine vinegar does work if you don't have apple cider vinegar, but apple cider vinegar is better. You do a couple tablespoons in water, but I did up to like a fourth of a cup, and I think last night might have been closer to like a third of a cup of vinegar. I had to do this 2 or 3 times. But when you have the extra acidity, in the vinegar, and you drink that down with water, follow it immediately with a glass of water, the water chaser, I call it. What happens is you raise you make the acidity of your stomach higher, and that closes the valve that opens up. It gets kind of relaxed and opens up when there's not enough acid in your stomach. And that's how it comes back up through esophagus. I woke up last night with stomach acid coming out of my nose. That's how bad it was. It was like, what the actual hell, man? And, that was a fun one. It was a fun sound. I was grateful that I didn't asphyxiate. No, that's not the word. Aspirate, that's the word. Oh my God. It was in the same file folder in my brain. Okay. I didn't aspirate it. I have in the past, like, sit up and go, and now I've got it in the lungs. Gain acid in the lungs, that's never a good idea. And when you have asthma too, I've done this a few times in my life, but thank God last night I sat up and it was coming out of my nose. I had to run to the bathroom to blow the stomach acid out of my nose. Crazy. Like, I'm like, what did I even eat? Okay, chocolate cake probably did it. It was my son's birthday. Happy birthday to my son. And he's now an adult. Oh my God. That did happen. But I think it might have been the chocolate cake. It was just too rich. I ate it too late in the night. But whatever it is, I feel like everyone's having kind of the same symptoms, right? So I've mentioned this before, and I've seen a few people say, yeah, I have had bad acid reflux, tossing and turning at night, having a hard time falling asleep, not being able to get out of bed in the morning. My tinnitus has been out of control for days. High vibration, I wake up in the morning and I feel like I'm floating above my bed, like I'm not really in my body. I'm having a very, very high vibration, but then some of the physical symptoms, like a lot of arthritis, pain. But if I meditate for a little bit, my vibration goes up very, very high, and then I'm not able to actually feel my body anymore. So in lieu of actually taking medicine or something for it, and then I'm able to stretch my body out so that when I am more back in my body, a little bit more grounded, then I don't have as much pain because I've already done the stretching and everything. But my little baby kitten laid on my neck last night. In fact, she's been cuddling with me a lot more. She's here right now hanging out with me. And so Knowledge, Raven Spell, my familiar, she's learning how to bless things. She puts her paw on things. And I taught her to do that, to bless things. So she comes up to me and puts her little paw on my face. It's really adorable. But she laid on my neck. And last night she started licking the base of my skull on the left side, where I have a puncture wound from having been abducted in the past 24 hours. And I guess she picked up on that and she started licking it. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly, I feel pain there. When she did that, I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt, and it's like, yep, for sure. They got me again, and I get these puncture wounds. They're injecting me with something. I don't know what it is, but they're putting this in the base of my brain, and she caught on to that. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So she's proving to be a very smart little kitty, and she's a good one to have around. I feel like it was meant to be, for sure. Even like toys that I had purchased randomly over the past couple years, I've now already given to her. And so I guess I bought these for her before I knew she's going to be in my life, which is pretty cool. Anyway, let's get on over to spaceweather.com. Hopefully it's all queued up. Oh, and before we get that, I want to tell you the card of the collective. The card for the collective is taken from Angel Answers by Radleigh Valentine, and the card of the day is called Be Assertive. Be assertive. And it's an angel holding a key in his hand. I'm going to take a picture of it, and probably in the next 24 to 48 hours I will get that up on my Instagram feed, which is found at mermaidgirl888. Be assertive. And this is what the card says, or the booklet says. This situation calls for you to take matters into your own hands. You must get clear on your personal feelings and then pursue the fulfillment of your desires with courage and self-confidence. Ask for what you need without watering down your request in order to satisfy others. Remember that seeing to your own needs is nothing to apologize for. Set boundaries with those around you in order to create a safe and fair environment. Tailor your actions so that you earn the respect from others that you deserve. And then move forward. Again, the card is Be Assertive. So I don't know who needs to hear that. Perhaps all of us, but the ones who need to hear that the most will. So there you go. That's a card for the collective for the day. Spaceweather.com. This is the current news. Solar wind speed is 415.7 kilometers per second. We have 2 sunspots. New sunspot AR2777. There's your angel number for the day, 777. And it's about to disappear of the sun's southwestern corner. Not that the sun has corners, it's a round body, but you know what I mean. It's almost gone, barely a day after it first appeared. So that's pretty cool. We are in the middle of a meteor storm, I guess, if you want to call it that. There's a stream of debris coming from Halley's Comet. This is otherwise known as the Orionid meteor shower. And over the weekend, there were 9 Orionid fireballs checked out by NASA's all-sky cameras. There's more than one. And it's a sign that the shower is underway, and it's going to be about 20 of them per hour, according to the forecasters, what they're predicting. So if you want to check out the Orionid meteor shower, check it out on the 21st of October, and the best time will be to look Wednesday morning before sunrise, just before sunrise. So if you want to get up super early or stay up super late on Tuesday night, it might be worth it. It might actually be worth it. So let's see. The cosmic radiation is 0.5% less in the past 48 hours. We're still at 9.7%, which is high for the space age average. It's 9.7% of all cosmic radiation. of the space age average, that's coming out of Oulu, Finland University. They check out the neutrinos in the atmosphere. Oops, sorry, honey. I just disturbed my cat accidentally. So basically, we are still getting a little bit of cosmic radiation. Now, as far as solar winds, that's a different kind of radiation that we get. We will tomorrow and Wednesday be getting solar wind hit from last weekend, or I guess from the weekend, maybe Friday or Saturday is when I read about this. So tomorrow and the next day we will be getting hit with like plasma and gamma rays and you name it from the sun. And solar wind now has been flowing from the network of coronal holes, a whole bunch of different coronal holes at once. And it's going to be hitting Earth's magnetic field on the 21st, coinciding with the Orionid meteor shower. That's hard to say. From October 21st through the 25th. So, oh my gosh. So 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 5 full days we're going to be hit with cosmic radiation from the sun. So great. Cosmic radiation, solar wind radiation. We're going to get a lot of spiritual upgrades this week from that. According to NASA's All-Sky Fireball Network, there were 16 reported fireballs today over the United States. 11 were sporadic, 4 were Orionids, and 1 was an Epsilon Geminid. So there you have it for the space weather. And as far as disclosure.news.it goes, we had power 26 and 18 hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale coming out of Italy. And the Heart Mouth Institute, yay, their site is up today. And 2 days ago, on Saturday, at the 2300 hours, about a day and a half ago, California had 90 hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale. Hopefully Saudi Arabia is still at 0. They haven't left the mat all weekend. But Lithuania was at 127 hertz frequency. And Alberta, Canada was at 123 hertz frequency. Northland, New Zealand was at 55 hertz frequency. And Hulului, South Africa, was at 121 hertz frequency, which makes, basically 5 out of the 7 places that we talk about are in the 5th dimension. Because as you know, that starts at 40 hertz frequency. So there you go. All right, guys, I'm excited because today is the next installment of the life and teaching of the Masters of the Far East. So we're going to read that and see what more has happened in the field notes from 1894. Love this series by Bard Spalding. It was published in 1924. So, I'm going to take a break, and then here we go. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you. And it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated. And now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, guys, we're going to start with Chapter 7. Again, this is the book Life and Teaching of Masters of the Far East. And this is originally taken from field notes from Baird T. Spalding. He was one of 11 men who went on an expedition. They were scientists, and they were looking for the supposed spiritual masters that still live in the Himalaya mountains and that are pretty much tucked away from the rest of the world. And they weren't sure what they would find, but they definitely wanted to search for them. And well, they got a lot more than they bargained for. And I got to get a cat off my back right now. Come here. Here's your toy. Okay. Hopefully that will hold her. She gets particularly violent at night, moments before she becomes particularly sweet, and then she'll purr and cuddle for 6 hours in a row. And a few days ago, I put on my tablet the 12,000 hertz frequency. You want to hear it again? Okay, you can hear it again. And at the end of this 3.5 hours, I was asleep, and she, with her little paw, she touched it and started it over. So I woke up 7 hours later hearing the same music. I'm like, what? And she's very smart. She loves this music. What's up? Well, she's looking at nothing, and there's something here. She's staring at the wall and meowing. What do you see? It looks like she's actually interacting with something now. Well, this is fun. I gotta read the book for people, honey. Now she's staring at the other wall. Oh, well, this is fun. This is what cats do, right? All right, let's get to it. We are on Chapter 7. It's where we left off from last week. Let's see. And here we go. Thursday morning, the sun rose clear and beautiful, but instead of pushing on as we had expected, we were told that we would wait where we were until the trails had dried and the rivers had receded so we could proceed more comfortably. We were all fearful lest our provisions should be exhausted, and one of our party voiced this fear. Emil, who had Emil, who had charge of the whole outfit, came to me and said, "You need not fear. Does not God take care of all his creatures, both great and small? And are we not his creatures?" It's a good question, right? "You will see that here I have a few kernels of corn or corn seed. I will plant them. By this act, I have definitely said that I want corn. I have formed corn in my mind. I have fulfilled the law, and in due season it will come forth. Is it necessary for us to await the long, arduous process that nature, in her slow growth and unfoldment, will take in order to grow corn? If so, we would be obliged to wait a long, hard time to obtain it. Why not use a higher or more perfect law given us by the Father to produce it? All that is required is to become quiet and visualize or idealize corn, and we have corn cured, ready for use. If you doubt it, you can gather it, grind it into meal, and then make it into bread. There before us was corn grown and cured, so that we did gather it, grind it, and afterwards made it into bread. Then Emil went on to say, "This you have seen and believed, but why not use a more perfect law and bring forth a more perfect thing, or exactly what you want, bread? You will see by using this more perfect, or as you would say, more subtle law, I am able to bring forth exactly what I need, bread." And as we stood there spellbound, a large loaf of bread was in his hands. Nor did the supply stop until there were 40 loaves upon the table before us, placed there apparently by Emil himself. He remarked, "You see, there is sufficient for all. If not sufficient, more can be supplied until there is enough and to spare." We all ate the bread and pronounced it good. Emil continued, "When Jesus at Galilee asked Philip, 'Whence shall we buy bread?' he did this to try him, for within himself he knew full well there was no necessity to buy the bread needed to feed the assembled multitude, nor to secure it through the material market then in existence. He saw the opportunity to prove to his disciples the power of bread leavened or increased by the Spirit. How often man in the mortal concept thinks of visible supply on hand. Wait a minute. I skipped a line, damn it. How often man in the mortal concepts thinks as did Philip. He was calculating as human consciousness is calculating today from the visible supply on hand, thinking he had only so much bread or so much supply or so much money with which to buy. Jesus recognized that the one in Christ consciousness knows no limitation. He then, in Christ consciousness, looked to God as the source and creator of all and gave thanks for the power and substance right at hand to fill every want. He then broke and distributed through his disciples to those in outer need until the need was supplied and there remained 12 baskets over. Jesus never depended on the oversupply of another to fill his need, nor the need of another, but he taught that our supply is right at hand in universal substance, where all supply exists, and all we need to do is to create it or bring it forth. Just so when Elisha multiplied the widow's oil, he did not apply to someone having an overabundance of oil, for he had done this, the supply would have been limited. He contacted the universal, and the only limited to the supply was that all the vessels were filled. The supply could have flowed on until this day, had there been vessels to receive it. This is not hypnotism. None of you feel that you are in any way under a hypnotic spell. Let me say that the only hypnotism is the self-hypnotism of believing that each and every one cannot do the perfect works of God and create the desired condition or thing. For is not the need itself the desire to create? Instead of unfolding and creating instead of unfolding and creating as God wills us to create, you fold up in your little shells and say, I can't. And you hypnotize yourselves into actually believing that you are separate entities apart from God. You simply fall short of your perfect creation or expression. You do not let God express perfectly through you, as is his desire to do so. Did not Jesus, the great master, say, the works that I do, ye shall do also, to show that we as sons of God, or man in his true estate. I'm sorry, again, skipping with this is very, very tiny. The font is very small, and I've increased it, but it's still very hard to read. So, hold on. Even with my reading glasses, I got the cheaters on, so, all right. Let me read that again. Did not Jesus, the great master, say, the works that I do, ye shall do also, and greater works than these shall ye do? Was it not Jesus' true mission here on earth to show that we, as sons of God, or man in his true estate, can create as perfectly and as harmoniously as God does? When Jesus commanded the blind man to bathe his eyes in the pool of Siloam, was not this intended to open the eyes of all? All were to see that Jesus was sent by the Father to show us that the Father intended us to create exactly as he creates. All are to do the perfect work, as Jesus did, by recognizing Christ in himself and in all. I can go one step further. This loaf I just received and held in my hand is consumed as though burned by fire. What happened? I misused the perfect law that brought forth my conception and consumed that which I brought forth because of my misuse or not using rightly or righteously the perfect law, which is as exact as music or mathematics or any other so-called natural law. If I persisted in the misuse of the perfect law, it would consume not only that which I create, but would consume me, the creator. Is the bread really destroyed? We will admit the form is changed, for in place of the loaf we have a small amount of dust or ashes. Has it not in reality been returned to the universal substance from which it sprang? Is it not now in unmanifest form, waiting to be brought again into manifestation? Is this not the way with all forms that go from our sight, either by fire or decay or in any other way? Do they not return to the universal substance or God from which they sprang? Is this not the meaning of what descends from heaven must ascend into heaven? My wheels are turning there. I bet yours are too. That's a good question. A short time ago, you saw ice formed without any apparent cause, as you perhaps think of it. Let me say that this is the same as creating the bread. I can use the law to obtain ice as well as bread, just as long as I can use either as a benefit to mankind, or as long as I am working in living accord with the law, or expressing as God wishes all to express. It is good for all to make bread or ice or any and all things desired, and all must press on to the stage at which they can do these things. Can you not see that by using the highest law, the absolute law of God, you may bring forth that which you need to conceive in mind as your highest idea, and thus please God more fully by manifesting more fully, knowing as Jesus did that we are perfect sons of God? Does not this suggest freedom from commercial bondage as well as all other bondage? As I see it, the commercial bondage will, in a few years, become the greatest bondage of all. If it goes on at the rate it is now progressing, it will dominate man's soul and body, and it cannot do otherwise than consume itself and those who are interested in it. There is no question but that the first inception of commercialism was on a high spiritual plane, but materialism was allowed to creep in until the very power used to create is the power that will consume, just as the very power used to create will always consume if not used rightly. Is not the pressing of commercialism and limitations upon us crowding us on to see that we must come up over or overcome these conditions? Is not this done by simply realizing that we are to do the perfect works of God, to raise our consciousness to the Christ consciousness? Is not this what Jesus taught us here on earth? Does not his whole life exemplify this? My dear brothers, do you not see that in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God? At this time everything to be formed later was in unmanifest form in the universal mind substance, or as expressed by some, in chaos. This word in the original was actuality. This word chaos is misinterpreted to mean a turbulent or warring state, instead of the deep spiritual state of actuality, always awaiting a definite, creative spoken word through which it can spring forth into manifest form. When God principle desired to bring forth the world out of universal mind substance, God was quiet and contemplative. In other words, God saw an ideal world. He held in mind that substance of which the world was to be formed a sufficient time to lower its vibration. Then he spoke the word, and the world was formed. Or, as we might say, God visualized a mental pattern or mold into which could flow the substance needed to make the world, and it came forth a perfect form built upon the pattern which was held in consciousness. All these things might have been thought of by God, infinite power. He might have wished during an indefinite time that they were formed and made visible. Had not the definite spoken word been put forth into the formless ether, nothing would have been created or brought forth into visible form. In order to establish invisible results, the thoughts and desires of even an infinite, omnipotent creator, and bring orderly forms out of actuality, it took the definite, positive, let there be. So we must take the definite step. God is holding the ideal, perfect world in mind in every detail and is bound to come forth as a heaven or perfect home where all his children, all his creatures, and all his creations may dwell in peace and harmony. This is a perfect world that God saw in the beginning and the one he is thinking into existence right now. And the time of its manifestation lies in our acceptance of it, where we can come to the one place and know that we all are one man, and know that we are all members of God's body. As much as one member of our body is a part of the whole body, then we are in and of God's kingdom, heaven on earth now. To make this manifest, realize that there is nothing material to heaven. There's nothing material in heaven. All is spiritual. Realize that heaven is a perfect state of consciousness, a perfect world here on earth now, and we all need to do is accept it. It is here all about us, waiting for us to open the more well, that was weird. That happened again, man. I just hopped out of my body and went to different, I don't even know what. It said more. And I said that, and I saw like kind of a grassy area next to a beautiful river. It was very, very peaceful. It was like a heaven on earth scene. Whew, it's like a portal, man. These books I've been reading are very powerful lately. Have you noticed? Are you hopping out of your body and having experiences too as I go? I know the word more isn't on here because I don't see it now. It's weird. That's so strange. So I'm going to start over again, and hopefully I'll stay in my body in this dimension. Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay. God is holding the ideal perfect world in mind in every detail, and it is bound to come forth as heaven or perfect home where all his children, all his creatures, and all his creations may dwell in peace and harmony. This is a perfect world that God saw in the beginning and the one he's thinking into existence right now, and the time of its manifestation lies in our acceptance of it. When we can come to the one place and know that we are all one man, and know that we are all members of God's body as much as one member of our body is a part of the whole body, then we are in and of God's kingdom, heaven here on earth now. To make this manifest, realize that there is nothing material in heaven. All is spiritual. Realize that heaven is a perfect state of consciousness, a perfect world here on earth now, and all we need to do is to accept it. It is here all about us, waiting for us to open the inner eye. Through that eye, our bodies shall be made light, the light which is neither of the sun nor moon, but of the Father. And the Father is right here in the way. I'm sorry. That was really weird. Again, started to happen. And the Father is right here in the very innermost part of our being. We must sufficiently realize that there is nothing material, that all is spiritual. Then we must think of that wonderful God-given spiritual world which is right here now, if we can realize it. Do you not see that God created all in this way? Did not God first become quiet and contemplative and see the light? Then he said, "Let there be light," and it was so. In the same way, he said, "Let there be a firmament," and it was so. And likewise with other creations. He held each form or ideal steadfast in consciousness, then spoke the word, and the ideal was brought forth. Just so with man. Just so with man. God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and give him dominion over all." God, all good, created all things good. Man, the greatest and last, with full dominion over all. Then man saw only good, and all was good until man separated himself from God and saw duality or two. Then he by his thought created two, one good and the other opposite. For if there were two, they would be opposite, good and evil. Thus evil came through man's perfect power to express or bring forth that which he gazed upon. If man had not seen evil, if man had not seen evil, evil would have been given no power of expression. Only the good would have been expressed, and we would be as perfect. And we would be as perfect as God sees us today. Would not heaven always have been on earth as God sees it, and as we must all see it to make it manifest? Jesus had a perfect right to say that he came from heaven. For did not all come from heaven? For did not all come from heaven, the great universal mind substance? Since man was created in the image and likeness of God, and did not God give man the power to create exactly as he creates? And does not God expect man to use that power as freely as he uses it, and in exactly the same way? By first perceiving the need, then conceiving the good, the ideal with which to fill the mold that we hold in consciousness, and which is to be filled from the universal mind substance, then sending forth the word that it is filled, that it is so, and it is good. Jesus, when he was crucified, gave his flesh, the outer, what we see of the body, to prove that there is really a deeper or spiritual body, and it's this body that he manifested when he came forth from the tomb. This is the body of which he spoke when he said, "Destroy the temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." He did this to show us we have the same spiritual body, that we can do all the works that he did. There is no question that if Jesus had wished to do so, he could have saved himself. There is no doubt that he saw there was a great change taking place in his body. He also saw that those about him were not able to see that they also could bring forth the spiritual body, as he was attempting to have them see. They still looked to the personal, and he saw that if he brought forth the spiritual body without some decided change, the people would not be able to discern between the material and the spiritual. So he adopted the way of crucifixion to bring about this change. Truly, is not this the Christ in man, which the great Master Jesus, whom we all love and reverence, came to show? Did he not unfold his life here on earth to show us the perfect way to God? Can we do other than love this perfect ideal way when we once see it, whether it be planting seed, making bread, or doing the 1,000,001 things necessary to human existence? Are not these acts mere lessons carrying us on to our unfoldment? Unfoldment. It's not a word I'm used to saying. Someday we are to realize that we are truly sons of God, not servants. That as sons, we can and do have all that the Father has. That we can use it just as freely as our Father does. I admit this takes a mighty faith at first. One that usually must be taken step by step and must be practiced faithfully, like music or mathematics, until we come to the place of knowing. Then we are grandly, beautifully free. Could there be a better, truer example of this life than that of Jesus? Can you not recognize the power that is in his name? Jesus the Christ made manifest, or God manifesting through the flesh man. Jesus came to the place where he relied wholly upon his deep knowledge or understanding of God. And this is how he did his mighty works. He did not rely upon his own willpower or upon strong, concentrated thoughts. Neither must we rely upon our own willpower, nor strong, concentrated thoughts, but upon the will of God. 'Tis not my will, but thine, O God, be done. Will to do the will of God. Do you not think that Jesus willed in all things to do the will of God, or to do what God willed him to do? You'll note that very often Jesus is referred to as going into a high mountain. Whether he physically ascended a high mountain or not, I do not know. This I do know, that we are all must ascend, that we must all ascend to the heights, the veriest highest in consciousness, to receive our illumination. This height means the very top of the head, and there, if the faculty is not developed, we must develop it by spiritual thoughts. Then from the heart, the love center, we must let love flow forth to balance all, and when this is done, the Christ is revealed. The Son of Man perceives that he is the Son of God, the only begotten Son, in whom the Father is well pleased. Then with constant love, we must realize this for all. Just stop and think deeply for a moment and realize the countless number of the grains of sand on the seashore, the countless number of drops of water that go to make up the waters of the earth, the countless numbers of life forms in the waters of the earth. Then realize the countless number of rock particles that are contained in the whole earth, the countless numbers of trees, plants, flowers, and shrubs upon the earth, the countless number of forms of animal life upon the earth. Realize that all are the outpicturing of the God. Then think of this countless number of souls born upon the earth. Then realize how each soul is a perfect outpictured ideal image of God as God sees himself that each soul is given the same power, expression, and dominion over all that God himself has. Do you not think that God wills or wishes man to unfold these godlike or God-given qualities and to do the works that God does through the inheritance given man by the Father? The one's great universal mind in all, through all, and above all. Then realize that each person is an expression or pressing out from the unseen, the spirit, into visible form, a form through which God loves to express. When we can realize and accept this, we can truly only say, as Jesus did, "Behold, a Christ is here." It is in this way that he attained his mastery over the worldly or the fleshly self. He recognized, claimed, and accepted his divinity, then lived the life just as we must do. All right, I'm going to read one more chapter. I keep leaving my body during this. I told them 2 days ago, the Masters of Light contacted me via telepathy, and they said, "You're going to be with us soon in the Himalaya Mountains." And I'm like, okay, that sounds amazing, but please don't do this while I'm reading the book for my show to my people. And a few minutes ago, I was leaving, and I went to an ethereal place where it was all white light, but yet I could see swirly rainbow energy, kind of like the swirly rainbows that are on the outside of soap bubbles when you blow bubbles in springtime. And the energy was very mild, kind of atmosphere, kind of like a spring day, not like a hot day or a cold day, but a very pleasant in the middle kind of temperature. And I feel them around, and then I don't see them. It's like a white energy with a swirly rainbow energy. And I don't know what that's about. It almost feels like the energy of unmanifested things. Ooh, maybe that's where we're going to pluck my licorice out of. Or our loaves of bread. But I saw that, and then before that, as I was reading about Jesus, it was like I was witnessing or watching almost like a movie play out. Not like I was there, even though I was there back in that time when he was alive, but almost like maybe it's a living Akashic record, like a movie screen. And I could watch it while I was reading it. And then plus trying to see these very, very tiny words. It was like getting kind of a little bit crazy. But let's get into the next chapter. It's not as long, and then we're going to stop there for the night. So I want to make sure that I can handle getting through this. The energy is very high vibration. I was not feeling hot or cold. It's just normal. But now I'm burning up because of all the energy pouring through me as I read this book. So, oh my gosh, I feel like supercharged right now. All right, almost like I'm doing a channeling. Maybe some of you are feeling that high vibrational energy. Hopefully you're getting a benefit out of it. All right, we're on now chapter 8. After a delay of 8 days, we broke camp on Monday morning and proceeded on our way. The afternoon of the third day out, we came to the bank of a larger river. The stream was about 2,000 feet wide. Wow. Running bank full, and the current was at least 10 miles per hour. We were told that this stream in ordinary times could be crossed at this place without any inconvenience. We decided to camp until morning and observe the rise and fall of the water. We were informed that we would be able to cross by bridge farther upstream, but to reach this bridge would necessitate a detour of at least 4 days hard travel. We felt that if the water was receding, it would be better to wait a few days rather than undertake the long detour. It had been demonstrated to us that we need not take any thought as to our provisions from the day already referred to, when our provisions were exhausted. The whole company, consisting of over 300 persons, had been supplied with an abundance of provisions from the invisible, as we called it. This supply was maintained for 64 days until we returned to the village from which we started. Thus far, none of us had any idea of the true significance or meaning of the things we were experiencing. Neither were we able to see that these things were performed by definite law, a law that all can use. When we were assembled for breakfast next morning, we found 5 strangers in camp. They were introduced, and it was mentioned that they were from a party that was camped on the other side of the stream and were returning from the village of our destination. We thought very little of this at the time, as we naturally supposed they had found a boat and crossed in it. One of our party said, "If these people have a boat, why can we not use it to cross the stream?" I think all of us saw this as a way out of our difficulty, but we were told that there was no boat, as a crossing was not thought to be of sufficient importance to maintain one. After finishing breakfast that morning, we were all assembled to the banks of the stream. We noticed that Emil, Jast, and Niprow, with 4 others of our party, were talking with the 5 strangers. Just came to us and said they would like to cross with the others to the camp on the other side of the stream, as they had decided to wait until next morning to see if the water showed signs of receding. Of course, our curiosity was aroused, and we thought it rather foolhardy to attempt to swim a stream as swift as the one before us just to make a friendly call upon a neighbor. We felt that swimming was the only way the crossing could be accomplished. When Jast rejoined the group, the 12, fully dressed, walked to the bank of the stream, and with the utmost composure stepped onto the water, not into it. I never shall forget my feelings as I saw each of those 12 men step from solid ground upon the running water. I held my breath, expecting, of course, to see them plunge beneath and disappear. I found afterwards that was the thought of all of our party. At the time, I think each of us held his breath until they were all past midstream. So astonished were we to see those 12 men walking calmly across the surface of the stream without the least inconvenience and not sinking below the soles of their sandals. When they stepped from the water to the farthest bank, I felt that tons of weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And I believe this was the feeling of every one of our party, judging from the size of relief as the last man stepped ashore. It certainly was an experience that words fail to describe. The 7 belonging to our party returned for lunch. While the excitement was not so intense at the second crossing, each one of us breathed more freely when the 7 were safe ashore again. Not one of our party had left the bank of the stream that forenoon. There was very little discussion regarding what we had witnessed, so engrossed were we with our own thoughts. The second day, the company was toiling up the steep side of a mountain with the hot sun pouring down upon us when our chief, who had said but little during the last 2 days, suddenly remarked, "Boys, why is it that man is obliged to crawl and grovel over this earth?" We answered in chorus that he had voiced our thoughts exactly. He went on to say, "How is it if a few were able to do the same things we have seen accomplished, then all men cannot accomplish the same things?" Let me read that again. It ends with a question mark. Okay, hold on. He went on to say, "How is it if a few are able to do the things we have seen accomplished, that all men cannot accomplish the same thing?" Same things. How is it that man is content to crawl, and not only content to crawl, but is obliged to do so? If man was given dominion over all things, he was certainly given power to fly above the birds. If this is his dominion, why has not he asserted the dominion long ago? The fault must certainly be in man's own mind. This must have all come about by man's own mortal concept of himself. He has only been able in his own mind to see himself crawling, but thus has he only been able to crawl. Then Jas took up the thought and said, "You are perfectly right. It is all in man's consciousness. He's limited or unlimited, bound or free, just as he thinks. Do you think that the men you saw walking across the stream yesterday to save themselves the inconvenience of this trip are in any way special creations, any more than you are? No. They are certainly not created in any way different from you. They do not have one atom more power than you were created with. They have, by the right use of their thought forces, developed their God-given power. The things that you have seen are accomplished in accord with definite law And every human being can use the law if he will. So, let's see where we're at time-wise. Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't have enough time to read the next chapter, which is short, but it still might take 10 minutes. So, I think we're going to conclude for the night, and we will pick this back up next Monday. And hopefully I will be able to stay in my body. And this last chapter, I was getting very relaxed with the energy, but I didn't leave my body this time at least. So there you go. I hope that you have enjoyed tonight's episode of Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. I want to say thank you for all the @ mentions I've gotten recently. Thank you. I do need to get the word out, so word of mouth is the best way to grow this podcast and keep it on the air. So please tell everybody you know who's spiritual, especially your spiritual groups on Facebook. And if you wish to make a donation, you may do so you go through PayPal and just send the amount of your choosing via the family and friends option, by the way. If you do it as a business, then they take like $5 out. So just be aware of that. Someone sent me $6.87 once, and I think I got $1.87. I think they took like $5 out. So it was like, what? But anyway, just mentioning that. But that's you could PayPal me. It's metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com or mermaidgirl888@gmail.com. That's how you send a donation via PayPal. So thank you for those of you who have done that. So yeah, if you have any groups, especially if there's millions of members, just say, hey guys, check out this cool podcast. Anchor.fm/metaphysical is the easiest address to give out, but you could also let people know that they can look me up on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, etc., etc., etc. So anyway, that's it, and that concludes tonight's show. I will be back tomorrow with all new and original programming, just like always, and I do love each and every one of you, and I wanted to say thank you for being my listeners, because you can't have a podcast without both a host and listeners, so there you go. Completing the circuit, as it were. Anyway, wow, well, that's it. I love you guys. I want to say thank you for being here and going on the spiritual journey with me. Doesn't matter where you are on the spiritual journey, because we're all on the same path, all on the same road, going there together. And that's what counts. So if you want to find me on Instagram, I am at mermaidgirl888. You can also just look up the hashtag Soul Tribe or Soul Family. That's yet another way to find me. If you want to write me, if you want to request anything at all, readings or whatnot, that's again, DM me at mermaidgirl888 on Instagram. That's how you get in touch with me. Ask questions, provide feedback, anything you want to know about anything I talk about on the show. You know, it's still small enough where I can still offer personal attention and a little bit of time here and there. I am still in university classes, so my time is dwindling these days, but I'm there to the extent of my abilities. So anyway, that's it for now, guys. I'm gonna sign off and turn off the light because the cat's sleeping and she's squeezing her eyes a little too hard because the light's right over her head. So if I turn it off, the light, she'll feel better, and well, so will I, frankly. I'm going to go to bed so I could get up in the morning and do another 6 hours of university classes. Anyway, that's it. Like I said before, I'll be back tomorrow with all unique and original programming, just like always. But for now, I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. And there's a cat saying goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Time for bed. Do you love everybody too? Okay, there you go. From the mouth of Knowledge Ravenspell to your ears. All right, that's it. Signing off, guys. With peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.